Greetings, dear students. Welcome to today's biology class, which deals with the second part of the chapter 10 in your NCRT, that is, Microbes in Human Welfare. I am Mrs. Deepika Singh Rajawat, PGT Biology from Kendriya Vidyalaya, CMM. Well, in the first part of the video, we had done the use of microbes in household products and industrial products. In this video, we will see another important role of microbes, that is in the sewage treatment, as you could have made out from the picture that is on your screen. Now, this is also a very familiar picture of any water body in India, whether it is in towns or villages. We have a habit that water will wash away all the dirt. So large quantities of wastewaters are generated every day in cities and towns. Now this is a very horrifying picture, very commonly seen. And what is this? This is the municipal wastewater, which is also called sewage. And a major component of this wastewater is human excreta. Now, what is sewage and what does it contain? So, sewage contains large amounts of organic matter in terms of human excreta and many microorganisms, most of which are pathogenic, because the sewage will contain the excreta and that could be part of many of the diseased persons. Now, according to National Green Tribunal, more than 60% of the sewage generated by urban India is untreated and enters the rivers, resulting pollution, making it unfit for human consumption. Now, what used to happen previously, as the civilization started, the most obvious thing was to settle next to a river, and the wastewater was automatically discharged into the river. Now these rivers, they have a natural tendency of cleaning this water because they contain many microorganisms. So as the water would flow in the river, slowly these microorganisms would decompose. But with the passing of years, when the cities came closer and closer to each other and the population increased, then the water did not get time to treat itself before another load was added from another city. So this is very important. Water cannot be discharged into natural bodies like rivers and streams directly. Something has to be done. And what is that? That is, before disposal, some kind of sewage treatment should be done, and that is nowadays done in what are called the sewage treatment plants, so that the water which is entering the water bodies is less polluted. This is an aerial view of a sewage treatment plant where heterotrophic microbes, which are usually present in the sewage, will be sequentially, they will be treating this water and making it pure. The treatment, the whole process is basically done in two steps: the primary treatment and the secondary treatment. Now let us look in detail what are these treatments. First, the primary treatment, which is also the physical treatment. It involves removals of particles, large and small, from the water in two stages. The first stage is filtration, where there are large screens which are put, and whatever the floating debris contains, it could be rags, it could be plastic, it could be polythene, and they are removed. They are stopped by these big screens. And the second step is sedimentation, where all the grit, that is the soil and the small pebbles, they are allowed to sediment. Whatever is collected at the bottom is called the primary sludge, and this sludge is removed, and the supernatant or the effluent water from this settling tank is passed on for secondary treatment. Now let us see an overview of the primary treatment. In this diagram you can see on the left hand side there is some screen which is filtering out the large particles. Then it goes into the grit chamber and the sedimentation chamber, where the soil particles etc. settle down. The effluent is taken away for secondary treatment, and the sediment or the primary sludge is removed. This is a picture of one of the screens which is filtering. As the wastewater passes through it, it removes all the rags and the large pieces of debris, and then these debris, this is washed and it is discharged into the garbage can to be thrown out into the landfills. Then this is passed on to the grit chamber or the primary settling chamber, where this wastewater is passed through an aerated grit chamber, and slowly the heavier grit particles, that is the pebbles and the sand, they will settle down. This is another view of the same settling tank or the sedimentation tank or clarifier as it is called. The water is flowing very slowly through it so that all the suspended larger particles, they will settle down, and the effluent, which is relatively clear but rich in organic waste, it will be passed on for the secondary treatment. This is also called the biological treatment because it is using the microbes, which are going to then digest the organic substances and also the nitrogen compounds. So when the primary effluent comes out, it is passed into what are called big aeration tanks. Why aeration tanks? Because large amounts of air will be supporting the growth of aerobic bacteria. So in the first stage, it is the aerobic bacteria which will be coming into play role. What does the aeration do? Again, it is allowing the microbes to grow in quantity and form what are called flocks. They look something like this because along with the bacteria, some of the fungal filaments are also attached. So it flows something like that. You can see the bacteria, they are free swimming cocci bacteria. Then they start forming these clumps, and once the clumps are formed, as they grow larger and larger, they will try to settle down. And in the process, what are they doing? They are consuming the organic matter. They are deriving the energy to grow from the organic matter. This is a very good cartoon of what happens in the tank. You can see the microbes, they are digesting the organic waste and converting it into simple water and carbon dioxide. Next, while these are growing, they are consuming a major part of the organic matter. That is what is there in the sewage, the human excreta, that will be digested by these microbes. And in the process, it reduces what is called BOD, or biochemical oxygen demand. Now, what is this BOD? Let us define it. It refers to the amount of oxygen that would be consumed if all the organic matter in 1 liter of water were oxidized by the bacteria. Little confusing, but let us try to understand the explanation and the significance of BOD in wastewater treatment. See, when these bacteria they are growing, they would be consuming the oxygen that is present in the water because they are aerobic bacteria. Okay, so slowly what will happen? The oxygen in the water body will be reduced. The BOD test measures the rate of uptake of oxygen by microorganisms in a sample of water, and thus indirectly it measures the amount of organic matter present in the water. Let us look at it another way. The greater the BOD, more is its polluting potential. That means there will be more waste, more BOD. And as the waste is digested, the BOD would be reduced. So it will be treated till the BOD is reduced. There are simple chemical tests by which the BOD can be estimated in the lab. Then once the BOD of wastewater is reduced, the effluent is then passed into the second settling tank. There was a settling tank in the primary treatment. Here also there is a settling tank in the secondary treatment. Now what happens here is those bacterial flocks which had consumed the organic matter are now allowed to settle down, and the sediment that is formed is now called activated sludge. Now activated sludge, a small part of it is sent back to the aeration tank as inoculum, because more sewage will be coming and more microbes would be required. So a small part is sent back as inoculum. The remaining is pumped into what are called large tanks or anaerobic sludge digesters, where the role of anaerobic bacteria becomes important. These anaerobic bacteria then they will act upon the aerobic bacteria and fungi and they will digest them. During this digestion, the bacteria produce a mixture of gases such as methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. Together these gases form what is called the biogas, and that can be used as a source of energy because it is inflammable. This is a picture taken from your NCERT where the aeration tanks in the secondary treatment are shown. Then after the treatment, secondary treatment, the water is free of bacteria and it is generally pure enough or clean enough to be released into the water bodies like rivers and streams. But this is not yet fit for drinking. So if it has to be sent for drinking, then it has to undergo what is called tertiary or chemical treatment, and in that the water is then treated with chlorine or UV rays or any other latest technology. So in this way microorganisms become very important in sewage treatment, and this is a very good picture. From the left hand side, if you see, it gives you in a nutshell of all the steps of sewage treatment plant. Right in the beginning on the left side there is a bar screen, then the grit chamber, then the primary settling tank, and from there the sludge is taken out, the primary sludge, which includes nothing but stones and pebbles and sand. The effluent is then sent into the aeration tank where flocs will develop. Then the settling tank, from where the activated sludge will be collected. Then the tertiary treatment if the water has to go for more purity, or it can be discharged to rivers and lakes. Activated sludge or primary sludge can be removed. The activated sludge has importance as it can be used for production of biogas, whereas the primary sludge is simply taken out for land refill. So this is a very good picture I found, and I thought I would like to share it with you. Again, an aerial view. Now we can understand what these tanks are. Right in the foreground there are the primary settling tanks. Then there are the flocculation chambers or basins which are rectangular in shape. And finally the secondary tanks at the background. Here it would be very interesting if a visit to the sewage treatment plant in your town can be planned with the help of your teacher. So one can actually go and physically see all these processes. It would be very interesting. Here again a flow chart. I have tried to explain a summary of the sewage treatment process. The sewage water, it undergoes filtration followed by sedimentation, which are part of the primary treatment. Then this sediment, which is the primary sludge, settles down and then it is removed. The effluent from the sedimentation tank then goes into the aeration tanks or the clarifier, where flocs will be formed, which are nothing but aerobic bacteria along with some fungal filaments. Then these flocs will help to lower the BOD as they are digesting the organic matter. Once the remaining floc, they are sent to anaerobic digester, where aerobic bacteria will be digested and form what is called activated sludge. All this will come under the secondary treatment. The activated sludge, a part of it is sent back as inoculum to the aeration tank, and remaining can go for biogas production. The remaining effluent is discharged into nearby water bodies. So I have tried to explain the whole process as a flow chart, and I hope all the steps are clear to you. Now let us see in reality what is happening. Because of increasing population density, increasing in the number of towns and cities around the rivers, sewage is not being treated enough. So there is a demand for making more sewage treatment plants in cities and towns, especially for our major rivers like Ganga and Yamuna. And major plans have been set up by the Government of India called Ganga Action Plan and Yamuna Action Plan, where large amounts of funds have been directed to help to clean up these rivers. Let us do a small recapitulation on this part. You can define sewage and in which ways is it harmful to us, because it is containing lot of microorganisms. Then second, sewage water is treated till BOD is lowered. Justify. I hope you will be able to give me the relationship between BOD and the amount of organic matter that is present in the water. Then differentiate between primary and secondary sludge. This is a hot question. Primary sludge, let me give you a hint, contains all the physical debris, and they are not of any much use except for, say, landfill. Whereas activated sludge contains all these microorganisms and they are used either as inoculant or may be used for biogas production. So I hope the hint is clear. Now here is a 5-mark question where you have to explain the different steps of sewage treatment plant. Then the second part of this lesson is use of microbes in biogas production. Different types of gases are produced. You have seen in household products, carbon dioxide is produced and biogas can be produced, which is mainly methane with some amounts of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide, and it can be used as a fuel. So the type of gas depends upon the type of microbes and what is the organic substrate on which they are acting. For example, I told you when we talk about dosa and cheese, etc., in the household products, the main gas is carbon dioxide. And if they are anaerobic bacteria growing on cellulose, then they produce large amounts of methane along with carbon dioxide and hydrogen. These bacteria, they are collectively called methanogens, and one such common bacterium is methanobacterium, which is commonly found in the anaerobic sludge during treatment. This is also found in the stomach of the cattle which are ruminating, means they are cud chewing. Their stomach is special. It is a compound stomach having 4 chambers. One of the chamber is rumen, which is having these bacteria, methanogens, and they will be digesting the cellulose, which is a major common component of the food which is taken in by the cattle. So these bacteria will then also be present in the cow dung, which is we call in Hindi gobar, and the gas produced is the gobar gas. So methanogens, question is asked, where are they located? They are there in the anaerobic sludge or the activated sludge, and they are also in the rumen of the cattle and present in the gobar. Now this is a picture of gobar gas plant, which consists of a concrete tank which is 10 to 15 deep, in which all the bio waste are collected and the slurry of the dung is fed. Slurry is nothing but the dung is mixed with water and a liquid soup kind of a thing is made, that is called slurry, and that is important because all the bacteria are present there. Then it also contains a floating dome or a floating cover which is placed over this slurry, and this slowly keeps on rising as the gas is being produced. So that gives a good indication whether the gas is being produced or not. Then there is an outlet which will be taking away this gas, and it will be sent to the nearby house where it can be used for purposes like cooking and for electricity generation. Then whatever is the spent slurry, means whatever has been used up, that is removed through another outlet, and that can be used as a fertilizer. This is again another picture of a fixed dome type of plant. The working is almost similar. Then this is a picture of a typical biogas plant commonly seen in rural areas. Now why rural areas? Why these biogas plants are more in rural areas? The obvious reason is that there is more cattle in the rural areas working in agriculture fields and maybe in the dairying. So there is a large amount of cattle dung which can be used to feed these gobar gas plants, and this biogas can then be used for cooking and lighting. Here again, a visit to a biogas plant would be very interesting. If in your city or in the suburb of the city there are some dairy or there are small villagers who have these biogas plants, it would be an interesting trip to go with your teacher to see the working of the biogas plant and learn more about it from the people who are actually managing it. Now, this technology of biogas production was developed in India by these two organizations. The IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, located in Pusa Road, New Delhi, and the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. So very important technology. Now quickly, at the end of the video, some questions for recapitulation. Name the organism commonly involved in gobar gas production, methanogens, and where are these normally found? In the activated sludge and in the rumen of the cattle. Number 2, microbes can be used as a source of energy. Justify. Okay, so here also you can give the example of both biogas production from the activated secondary treatment, the activated sludge, as well as the gobar gas production. Then there is this diagram of the typical biogas plant where you are asked to identify ABC and explain the working of the whole setup for 5 marks. So with that we come to the end of the second video of this chapter, and it gave the description, or I tried to explain the working of the sewage treatment plant as well as the working of the biogas plant. Here I am sharing with you some of the references. I'll be loading this link also in the YouTube channel. So with that, thank you, stay safe and be healthy.